Hey everyone, so we're getting set up. We'll take a few minutes and then we can get started. We'll quickly wait until also the Tezos account has joined. Michael from Tech is already here, as well as Marcus. Michael is rallying the troops to get a Tezos account in here as well. As soon as we have that, we will get started. Perfect. So the Tezos account will also be joining shortly, but let's get this on the road. So my name is Pascal Brun, co-founder of Acurast. We also have here Michael Mendes from Trilitech and Marcus Leng from UFS. Michael, do you want to start with a quick introduction about you and your role?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Pascal. So I look after DeFi partnerships at Trilitech. So of course, looking at our DeFi ecosystem on Tezos, and essentially all our integrating partners. I've been around for a little bit of time now, but previously worked at another foundation at a foundation called IV Labs, which is part of the Rootstock ecosystem. So happy to be on the spaces. Thanks for the invite.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Marcus, do you want to go next? Maybe not. You're still muted here, Marcus.
He's getting ready for a proper introduction.
Looks like it. Not sure what's the issue on his side.
I can give him a ring. I'll pop him a ring on my side.
See, he says he cannot unmute. Marcus, are you using the app or are you on web?
DeFi is easy, unmute.
Interesting. He was on web. Okay. Good. Very good. Now, then we might have this as well on the road. Good. So, Michael, anyways, let's quickly talk about the Tezos ecosystem as well in terms of DeFi. So you're aware of the use project as well, obviously, right? What do you see in terms of interesting developments happening on use and in general in DeFi on Tezos?
Yeah, sure. I mean, firstly, the use roadmap in particular is quite exciting, looking at more sort of trading use cases. So going from, let's say, more lending, borrowing, and having a more, let's say, trading UI similar to the likes of GMX. I think this is an important step. Most of DeFi, from what I've seen and experienced, is more trading orientated. So that to me is quite an exciting proposition. Of course, the Acurast integration itself and the use cases that they unlock, I'd like to dive a bit more deeper into it, also for the listeners to get a better understanding of the entire Acurast solution, because it's not just on the Oracle side. You've got a whole bunch of stuff that essentially can be built on top of the Acurast infrastructure. But going back in terms of DeFi, definitely the UV's roadmap towards focusing on the trading use cases, which Marcus can touch on as soon as he unmutes. Of course, quite a bit of activity on the Plenty side as well, also with the Uni V3 implementation. So yeah, largely there's been quite a bit of building over this period, and of course the likes of Fireblocks integrating Tezos in the last 3 to 6 months is also a good sign of general momentum, I would say.
Perfect, awesome. That brings us also to Marcus, who is hopefully here now as well. Marcus, can you unmute yourself now? Does it work?
Maybe if Marcus can log out and log in again, maybe that might help.
Turning it off and on again.
Always seems to work for Solana.
Oh wow, shots fired. Very good. Okay, let me see if we can get him on here. Maybe I need to remove him as a speaker and get him back in.
It looks like Marcus is unmuted.
Yes, for some reason, I've added him as a speaker, but he's not showing up.
I think he just has to accept it, accept as a speaker. But maybe, Pascal, I think it's also good. Can I maybe just ask a question just around broader Acurast, or do you have a particular flow in mind?
No, I think what I wanted to do as well after the intros, which we were struggling here with a bit, was giving just kind of a general overview. And then I think your questions would then probably go into the same aspect of it as well.
Sure, all good.
So for the ones that are joining us as well from the Tezos account, haven't really heard much about Acurast yet. You can think of Acurast essentially as a decentralized cloud. And what this means is you can leverage resources that are distributed around the world, and they are not just coming from kind of plain servers, but they're coming from dedicated mobile devices. So what this means is we're leveraging mobile hardware that essentially anyone can set up, meaning you can get a Google Pixel phone, for example, and dedicate this as a resource to Acurast Cloud, and you will earn rewards as well for doing that. So it's not something that you do just for free. But what we are essentially gaining with this, leveraging these mobile devices, are a way to really build out this decentralized network of compute resources. And these compute resources can then be accessed in kind of a trustless way. So you don't have to, if you want to run something on Acurast, you don't have to come to me or anyone else on the Acurast team and say, hey, by the way, please, this is my app. I need to run this on your decentralized network. No, that's not the case. You essentially interact with the Acurast protocol with this request and say, I need 5 of these off-chain workers of Acurast Cloud to run my app code. And then essentially you're putting up a reward as well for this. And everything is matched seamlessly and completely permissionlessly. So there is no kind of middleman that does this matching for you. And in the end, what this really allows you to do is you can leverage this decentralized cloud in the Web2 world, but here we are focusing on the Web3 world, mainly also on Tezos. So what this means is you can get the resources or this app deployed on this decentralized cloud and get your responses directly to a Tezos smart contract. And this is something that we have just recently launched over the past few weeks, this native integration of Tezos, so you can directly access these off-chain compute resources that Acurast gives to you with a Tezos wallet. So you don't need to do anything else than just have your Tezos wallet ready. You go to our Acurast console, you have your codes that you want to run, and then you can create a request and you get the answers essentially onto your smart contract on Tezos, if it's for a DeFi project, if it's for whatever you're building in the end. Now,
hello.
Okay, good. We have Marcus here. Perfect.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, very good. I'm sorry, I tend to forget that Twitter Spaces on the web version are annoying for speakers. I'm sorry. So yes, hello, I'm Marcus. I'm one of the core contributors for UVS. So we are a couple of people working on UVS together with people from the community, which are quite active in our case. And yeah, I hope you all know UVS. We're the biggest DeFi platform on Tezos in terms of total value locked. And UVS exists since 2021. And since the beginning, UVS was setting on the technology US was, so to say, like the proof of concept for the Acurast idea. And since 2021, the US engines and recently also some of the pools are relying on the Acurast technology. And yeah, we can say that it's a battle-proof technology. So it has proved to be quite stable, that it works, that it's not possible to be like manipulated or interfered somehow. And yeah, that's us and that's me.
Thanks, Marcus. Yeah, like
I've been saying, Acurast essentially was born out of the need that US had to kind of fulfill this specific Oracle use case, right? I think initially it was pricing of tests and other assets that were then essentially leveraged through this mobile parts that I've mentioned. So this cloud, decentralized cloud part of Acurast that is responsible for the compute was initially implemented for US, and then the Acurast team realized, or that Acurast team didn't exist back then, but a set of people realized, hey, this is essentially not only a use case that US is in dire needs, but we can essentially expand this in terms of compute capabilities, as well as then kind of where you can access it. Now, maybe Michael, on your side, you've mentioned you have a few questions.
Yeah, I suppose it's just, understanding a bit more about the Acurast value prop, also to use a mobile phone as a processor. So I believe that, just correct me, does the team have the vision that every single mobile phone, smartphone will then be used as a processor, and that ultimately as a processor being rewarded? Is that how the team sees that potentially expanding to every single market on Earth, essentially?
Yes,
that's a very good question, and we haven't really shared or talked about this publicly much yet. But in the end, what you're saying is exactly the vision that we have, right? For now, we see this as kind of the current implementation that we have is you really dedicate this device to the network. What this means is you get one of these devices, like a Google Pixel phone, and its only sole purpose is to be an Acurast processor. So one of these off-chain workers, right? And it's even that you cannot do anything else on this device. So it's completely locked down. The only application that is running is the Acurast processor application, providing these resources to the network. And even kind of the system dialogues on this mobile device, so even turning on and off Wi-Fi, is not accessible only if the application allows you to do this. And then the second step that comes in is what Michael has been saying, essentially. We can then go and say, look, there are use cases that are not as security critical as, for example, the Oracle use case, right? So we can expand this scope and let everyone run the Acurast processor application on their everyday smartphone that they're carrying around. And maybe when they're sleeping, they're providing resources. Maybe they have a different schedule that they're interested in. But essentially that in the end, this decentralized cloud is really that, right? It's completely decentralized across the globe, utilizing the resources that people provide to this network with their everyday smartphone, and they in turn earn then also rewards for this.
100%. So in terms of then the use cases that you guys are essentially expecting in future, could you also maybe, we've got the Oracle use case, which is well utilized. We know that's in the UVis platform as well, essentially utilizing the Oracle infrastructure. But where do you see those use cases growing, and what would you like to see built on top of the Acurast infrastructure?
Yes, that's also
a very interesting question. So we see kind of two avenues, right? One is Web3 in general, supporting ecosystems like Tezos to really help the projects building on Tezos to leverage essentially this compute layer that then can influence and be utilized in on-chain smart contracts. So the results of this can be brought on-chain where it can have an impact, right? Oracle, verifiable randomness, automation, all of these things is essentially what you can build with it. But the other side of the coin is also that Acurast is applicable in the Web 2 space. And what I mean with that is that some use cases that we are focusing on, or essentially the main use case in the Web 2 world, is utilizing Acurast for crawling. So crawling websites, getting data off of these websites and saving them somewhere for your benefit, essentially crawling like a booking.com for hotel prices, flight prices, all of these use cases around crawling, right? And the cool thing there is that we really can leverage then also this layer in security that we have just spoken about, right? Where we use the everyday phone. Because one of the main challenges in crawling is that you essentially use residential IPs, which inherently, if you think about the whole setup then of Acurast, where your everyday phone is participating in the network and offering the resources, is providing exactly that, residential IPs and completely distributed across the globe, essentially. And this is specifically for this use case, a huge improvement over the current status quo in that regard.
So opening up many of these, let's call it, I'm not going to call them, let's say, off-chain events, but it's basically taking it to TradFi as well, ultimately. So integrating both Web3 and Web2, is that how you would maybe determine it?
Maybe not even
thinking about it like bridging the two worlds, but kind of utilizing Acurast independently in the Web2 world, right? The only thing that you would have to do in terms of like Web3 interaction is essentially creating this request that is then being computed, right? Like creating a crawling request, for example. But this is then can be abstracted away from the end users. So in the end, you really have this kind of access to this decentralized cloud without you even really, as an end user, when coming from Web2, realizing that the underlying technology is essentially blockchain-based.
100%. So it's essentially we're abstracting away that complexity, right? That's where broader, the broader theme of like abstracting complexity from a wallet perspective, from computation perspective. So this is ultimately Acurast's strength in that regard, then essentially.
Yes, completely
right. And you know how to use this technology, how it's intended, right? It's not that everyone has to onboard themselves like with a wallet and everything like that, but really kind of offering these advantages that the technology can bring while kind of being accessible.
Perfect. I think maybe as a segue into then the Acurast oracles being utilized in UVES, maybe just to hear from Marcus's perspective.
Yes. So, as I said, we're already using the exact technology. So if UVES is getting a price today, which happens every 15 minutes, this price was essentially captured by currently 13, up to 13 processors. So that's really up to 13 mobile phones, which are distributed in various locations, which run a certain script, which you could even see on our generic Oracle smart contract. There is an IPFS link to a script. So these processors are essentially running this script, and then this price is aggregated and written on chain into the generic Oracle smart contract that we use for UVES. So that's how we currently get all of our prices. And while this setup, which is currently running, was like custom built for UVIS, we are already working on the next setup. So as Michael said, we are working to turn UVIS into a fully fledged trading platform, which allows you to do similar trades like GMX, for example. And for this, we will need a different Oracle setup. 15 minutes is not enough. We need to fetch the prices more often. So what we do is we will create some sort of on-demand Oracle solution where essentially a user can fetch the price whenever he needs to. And what is special about this is that we are currently building this all with Acurast tools. So, and these are the same tools which are available to any Acurast user at this time. So you could just go and log in into console.acurast.com and set up the same jobs as we are currently setting up for UVIS. Just this week, we are building a first proof of concept version. And I hope that towards the end of the week, we are able to feed on-demand prices into Tezos smart contract. And I'm very excited that this is now possible with ready-made tools for us. And I'm quite optimistic that this thing will run towards the end of the week. Maybe there's another use case which I find very interesting, which Acurast could fully cover. So if you're familiar with GMX, for example, on GMX you can also do short and long trades. And of course, a user would also want to have a stop loss or a take profit function where his order gets posted at the moment when the price crosses a certain threshold which he defines. And to do that in a decentralized exchange, in a decentralized setup is quite tricky. It's not as easy as if you were a centralized exchange where your server would just keep track of this order. So how it's done on GMX is that you place this order on chain, and so-called on-chain keepers observe the price and will inject this order when it's time to inject it. And that's a very interesting function, these keepers. That's also something that exists in Chainlink. It's called upkeep, and it's basically a tool to automate on-chain activity. And I think that's a very exciting use case for Acurast as well, which has tons of uses also on Tezos, of course. So you could basically automate a bot. So you could basically automate, for example, an arbitrage bot using Acurast as the keeper or as an automation solution. So I find that a very interesting use case.
Perfect. And maybe, Marcus, talking about this new kind of step, moving away from these traditional pull oracles to essentially a push model. So meaning, or the other way around, from a push model to a pull model, meaning that you don't have to have an interval that updates prices on chain, and to a model where essentially you really have a way to get in-time information, right? What you have been saying, this is specifically for the new US2, essentially this trading approach that really needs this real-time data in the end.
Yes, this new trading front end for UVIS is basically a trading front end, but that uses the same engines or same smart contracts in the background. The thing is that it's not enough to just fetch the price every 15 minutes. So we turn it completely around, and a user can fetch the price at any time. So you can really observe the price at any time, and you can trigger the price to be written on chain at any time with this solution that we are currently setting up using the Acurast standard tools, you could say. So that's very, I mean, compared to the first solution, it's already far ahead in progress.
And I mean, this also gives you the opportunity that you don't have to fund essentially the processors in terms of gas fees, right? So you don't have transaction costs for the update every 15 minutes, but besides gaining kind of this advantage of the speed and the update speed essentially of these feeds, you are also putting this into the hands of the users because they anyways are interacting on chain, right? So if they do an interaction on UVS, they in the same time essentially pull in the new data and push this as well with their normal interaction on chain. So correct.
Exactly. So it's in the case of UVS, it will be the front end which has a connection to these processors and which can get the price at any time. And then as a user, when you interact with UVS, the front end would create a transaction that will be written on chain by the user in the end. So the user will pay this gas cost for the price interaction. And currently it's the processors which are writing the price on chain. So this also means that we need to fund these processors from time to time. Fortunately, gas is very cheap on Tezos, so that's not a huge deal. But this will turn the system completely around.
Perfect. And maybe give us kind of an overview as well. So why did you opt to do this with Acurast in the end?
Yeah, I mean, currently there are no real alternatives on Tezos, right? And of course, Acurast as the solution that was born out of the first need of UVS. Of course, we are very close to Acurast and we're observing what they are doing, and we are in constant dialogue. So it was just obvious to set on Acurast.
Yeah, and I think specifically this on-demand use case really excites me as well, that because there has nothing, so what UVS does now with Acurast specifically in the on-demand area, this is nothing that has been built with this type of architecture before in the whole Web3 space. And what I mean with that is that you really have this direct connection to the processor, so to these mobile devices that are dedicatedly set up, as well as to essentially inherit their security primitives that these devices come with it. So this is very unique, and I'm very excited to see this go live as soon as possible on the US side. Marcus, do you have any timeline or roadmap that you can share with us?
Yeah, so the plan is to have like at least an alpha version ready until the end of the year, but definitely at the end of Q1 2024. We hope that this trading platform, including these on-demand oracles, will be up and running and hopefully be used by lots of people from Tezos, but also outside of the Tezos world, new Tezos users.
Perfect. And I think if anyone else wants to take a closer look at this, probably you will share more details on kind of the development side and have people join into this, essentially playing around with the initial versions, but definitely then also the mainnet, right?
Yes, definitely. So we already are in contact with some close people from the community and exchange ideas and designs and stuff. And the further we go, the more we will increase this. And of course, if anybody has a question about how this exactly is implemented, about how this works, just please reach out, and I'm happy to show you around or to connect you to the right people.
Where can they reach you best?
You could just reach us through any UVS channel, be it on Telegram, on Twitter, on Discord, or you can also just send me a DM. I think my DMs are open on Twitter, so just feel free to reach out.
Awesome, perfect. Yeah.
Then if you're interested in playing around with UVS and essentially the innovation that is to come, definitely follow that closely. I know that I'm excited on the Acurast side of things to seeing this live, as well as kind of this really first use case that makes use of this unique architecture that is essentially very, very secure in the end. Maybe on the other side as well, we have talked about these processors, so these off-chain workers. If you, the ones that are listening, are interested to get started on that, it's a system where anyone can participate and anyone can join. Currently, as I've said, it's you need a dedicated device. So we have a list of supported mobile phones there on our docs, on docs.acurast.com. These are mostly Google Pixel devices, a few others as well. But this will open up as well as the everyday app, essentially. So the everyday phone app that we've have been speaking about as well will definitely be on the horizon as well. So keep an eye out for that. And when you're providing or when you become a processor on Acurast, it's not something that you're doing essentially for nothing, right? Currently, Acurast Canary, our incentivized testnet, is live, where you will receive up to 250 C-Acus as a reward for participating as a processor and having a live processor that then can be utilized by others. The cool thing here is that this is kind of a base incentive that you're getting. If your processor is being utilized by others, so by developers that run then applications on it, like for example, UVS would with their on-demand oracles, they will essentially put up an additional reward on top of that for utilizing the compute resources that you are providing as a processor, which will then also go to you directly. So it's not only that you're essentially getting some small token incentive from Acurast directly, but it's really you're being rewarded for participating in this network directly by the consumer, so by the developers that are essentially building on that. So for more details, you can definitely go on docs.acurast.com. The console of Acurast that also Marcus mentioned is accessible and is the entry point on console.acurast.com. And the other thing that I wanted to mention here as well is was the kind of provider and processor side of Acurast. But obviously, like UVS, there are projects utilizing Acurast and building on top of that. And we have just recently launched our Acurast Builders program. And this Builders program is specifically focusing on developers. What this means is that if you are a developer on Tezos that thinks, hey, I can leverage Acurast for my app that I'm currently building, or I want to build something interesting where I can leverage this compute layer, then you are very welcome to join. The applications are currently open until the 15th of December, where the deadline is for closing. And the cool thing there as well, this is two things that you're getting out of this, essentially a deep dive on Acurast. We can help you build essentially with Acurast all of the use cases that you want to follow on, but you will also receive some C-Acu tokens, essentially if you're selected and are participating in this office hours that we're having, in these mentor sessions that we're having. Besides that, the winner of the Genesis of the Acurast Builders program will receive a 1 million CAQ as essentially winning prize in the end, which will be selected in Q1. So if you are in the Tezos ecosystem, I think this is a very cool opportunity to really start looking into Acurast and start thinking about how you can build with Acurast and leverage this essentially for your applications that you're building on that. So for that, it's on acurast.com. There are more details and the application form to sign up. And so this is for processors. As a summary, you can start participating. You get 250 CAQ monthly when you're active. If you're a builder, check out the Acurast Builders program, where you can get up to 25K CAQ tokens if you're selected. And if you're even winning it, you get the 1 million CAQ tokens. Michael Mendes had obviously, unfortunately, to drop off already. So we're looking forward to continue the conversation there as well, maybe in a follow-on space. But I wanted to also give Marcus quickly the floor to have some closing remarks.
Yes, thank you, Pascal. Thank you for having me here. So I'm very excited to build this first version of the on-demand Oracle. And yeah, if you are interested on how this stuff works, please join us on our community channels, be it Discord or Telegram, and we will happily show you how it is done, because you can basically observe the activity of these oracles online if you know where to look. And yeah, I'm very excited to build on this technology. And yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. It's not as complicated as it might sound sometimes. So reach out, and there are a lot of people who will help you to understand how this all works, and who will help you to build whatever your idea is. By the way, maybe a little side note. With UVES, we always have the ideas of tracking completely different stuff than just values like Bitcoin or US dollar or whatever prices we are currently fetching. We are always thinking about what would be very interesting other values we could fetch. And Acurast basically allows you to fetch whatever data feed that you have that you can acquire in a safe manner, ideally from various sources. So what you could do, for example, is you could create a platform where you can track, or an asset which could track the price of, let's say, electricity somewhere. Or you could track the GDP of a country, or whatever sources you can find and you can piece together, ideally more than one source. You can turn that into an oracle with Acurast. And if you think about that, it's just mind-blowing what kind of possibilities are opening up there. So if you are intending to build something on Acurast, then reach out to Pascal and his colleagues. And I'm very excited to see what kind of ideas come out from the Builders program.
Awesome. Thank you, Marcus. Yes.
Highlighting again the flexibility that Acurast offers you, and that UVES has been also utilizing for the past while, still remaining a secure solution, specifically when it comes to price feeds. Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for joining. This will definitely be not our last space that we're hosting, also together with the Tezos ecosystem. If you, so the essentially the idea for us from our side is that when we will have projects from the Tezos ecosystem in the Acurast Builders program, then we're also happy to explore the further opportunities as well to talk about how you're essentially leveraging Acurast for your product. So as a thank you again to Marcus, and talk to you soon. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Bye-bye.